Yeah, what's up? This Disciple Marcello, currents reign back up in this anti-Illuminati all day, anti-America all day, anti-Freemasons all day. So this video is gonna be real quick and to the point. I just thought I would share this. I was just thinking about this. Being in the New York shelter system, I don't know about now, but being in the New York shelter system, uh, when I started in 2012, 10 years ago, that was street credibility. That's street credibility. Because when you go to the shelter system, the main one in Bellevue, by Bellevue, the Bellevue Men's Shelter, everybody is there. From Rikers, first of all. Let's put it like this. When they come home from Rikers, that's where they go. When they ain't got no family, they messed up with family, whatever. People that been in Rikers, been even in prison, Rikers and New York prisons. When they come home, they're going to the shelter system. That's where they're going. So that right there builds a culture, right? It builds a culture in the shelter system. You think it's just a shelter system. You think it's just homeless, but you think it's just pathetic homeless people. When all the criminals, now you see what I'm saying? All the criminals that come home, that's been locked up for 5 to 10 years up and plus, they coming straight to the shelter system. And the main one they coming to that every one of them got to go to is Bellevue. And so New Yorkers know that. That being said, they checking you out. They making sure you good. They making sure you tight. They making sure this, that, and the third. Just like as if it was prison, or just like as it was if it was in jail. So that's credibility. And I've been all through Bellevue. I stayed there for a good amount of time. Okay? And I've been through many other shelters. But the main one is the one down on 2nd Street off of East 30th Street. East 30th and the 2nd Avenue. Down there by FDR. So that's credibility. That's right across the street that's right across the sidewalk from the hospital, Bellevue Hospital. Right across the street from that. So I went there like 10 years ago, 2012. That's street credibility. Anybody would tell you, you've been through the shelter system in New York? Oh, that ain't nothing to sneeze at. If you're on the outside, you thinking soup kitchens and humble little guys with, little hat on their head with a little biscuit in their pocket. Man, it's people coming home that been locked up for 20 years, 10 years, 15 years. Going through the shelter systems. I work for Ready, Willing, and Able too here in New York. Now that's work ethic credibility. Now, was I the best worker of all times there? No, I was selective, but I was there. So, I worked the streets picking up trash on the streets of New York through Ready, Willing, and Able, the one down in Brooklyn over there by Knickerbocker. So, I've lived over there in that neighborhood in Knickerbocker. So you can't say I got something against Mexicans. Knickerbocker is a whole Mexican neighborhood for the most part. Boom, now. And I stayed in East New York, over there by Bradford, over there by the furniture store, near the barber shop, two blocks down from the barber shop, that shelter right there. I stayed in Harlem, over there on 35th West, that shelter right there on the same block as Sylvia's. I've stayed in Staten Island, so it's, to me, I have to state things because people can easily forget, and just act like you did it didn't mean nothing. They do it means everything. You tell them you went to Los Angeles on foot, your bus ticket said New York to Los Angeles, that means nothing to them. They do it, they talk about it forever. So what you expect me to do? I'm gonna talk about it just like you would. I've been from New York to Los Angeles on with nothing and made it all the way back full circle. Okay, now being here in New York, You know, like I said, going through that shelter system is credibility. It's just as if you are in jail. It is. It's just like as if you there. And see, people on the outside that ain't never been through the men's shelter system, all you thinking is pathetic homeless people. When somebody who's been through it would tell you, yo, people put pressure on you, they pushing up on you like the streets. That's part of how I became like a New Yorker, if you will. Because as soon as I got here, I went to, and I went to the shelter on Atlantic Avenue, the Armory. That's what everybody call it. I was over there on Fulton Street, that neighborhood, Fulton Street and Nostrand, and over there on Atlantic Avenue. And so while I'm at the shelter, I'm in the neighborhood as well. And they looking at you, and they cool with you. So that's my real facts, man. You know what I'm saying? And if anybody felt something funny on me or thought something funny, that little funny flaky stuff that you doing, that would have been detected long time ago. That's a 7 hour. Boom. Walking through Harlem, I was living on 125th. Right there. 126 in Lenox. Right there. Okay? Walking up and down. I know all about Harlem, going up and down by the Apollo. That was an everyday thing. Walk by the Apollo in Harlem. That's nothing. That's how you know you lived in Harlem, when the Apollo, you just walk by the Apollo every day. That part. So, and getting the shades and getting the new shades. You know, somebody who lived in Harlem, first thing you do when you leave New York, you come back, you go get some new shades. Boom, ow. You go pick up some new shades over there in Harlem on 125th. So I've lived New York. If my enemies, the gang stalkers, think you depriving me of something, I've enjoyed New York already, buddy. You too late. And then when you're on Lenox, you go all the way to the back over there by 125th. You go all the way down Lenox, and Central Park is all the way to the back. Boom. I used to run down there. I used to run around that lake. Yeah, I already enjoyed New York. That's why I don't have no problem with being in. You ain't depriving me of nothing. If you feel sorry for me and say, well, he ain't even know what New York is like. I've been knew what New York is like. I lived all around New York. Harlem, Brooklyn, Staten Island. I stayed over there by the Home Depot in Staten Island. Everybody know where that's at? All right, so I've already lived in New York. I don't need no credibility. All I'm saying is going through the shelter system is for people that think, for even white people, or, you know the little white girls that think that means, oh, he was just homeless. You know, you need to go talk to some, you need to go talk to some real soldiers, and they'll tell you that straight in your face right quick. That's street credibility. Because they're going to put pressure on you. If you put your head up and you talking like I talk, they're going to put pressure on you. If you even somebody, you look decent. Like me, I just came there, I wasn't really saying that. I'm just, how I look going to make people put pressure on me. I just got that look. I just stand out. And so it brings haters, and then, people start feeling like they out of pocket. So then more pressure get put on you. Then you standing your ground. Now you got your head up. Because of haters, that's going to make you that's going to foundationally make you put your head up. So now people see what you're made of. So I've already been through that, and I got people that can vouch for that. This big, tall Puerto Rican kid named Carlos, he was like, yeah, man, we make him or break him. Because he knew I was made. He knew they couldn't break me in the shelter system. So, yeah, I was over there. I know about that. I know where to get the food stamps over there and everything. To get the bus down the food stamps and everything. Over there. So, it's just understanding, man. What is and what is not, bro. So that's another place I got credibility. That's like being locked up. Because the culture is like being locked up, because it's more people coming home, from prison than anything. So that creates the culture. And, I know all about that. Buying the Lucy's in there, everything. All about that, man. All about that. You know what I'm saying? Floor to floor in the Bellevue. They probably don't let you go floor to floor no more. But when I was there, you could go floor to floor. They don't really say nothing to you. They got the guards on each floor. You go floor to floor, they don't say nothing to you. You back and forth, selling whatever you selling. I used to sell vitamins in there. So, So it's street credibility, man. I used to sell magnesium, and I would sell it in Bellevue, so and I enjoyed my life. I was jogging there, you know what I'm saying? I go out by the water on FDR, down the street from the from that shelter, East 30th shelter. I go jog, I get out the shelter, go jog and exercise. If I wasn't working, I go exercise and jog and everything. And so, I've worked here in New York too. I've had jobs. I worked at New York Sports Club. That's my thing. I work at gyms. So if you're a person that works at like exercise gyms, I worked at Bally Total Fitness. You got a flamboyant, a chirpy, good, bubbly personality. That's what kind of person I am. Music blaring, people working out. You casually see beautiful women. It's a casual situation. Seeing the baddest women. It's a casual situation. So that's who I am. You know what I'm saying? So I got my first job in New York when I lived in Harlem. I was a dishwasher down in the '90s in Lower Manhattan. It was called Prime. It's called Steakhouse. I think it was Prime Steakhouse. I think it was called. But I worked there and everything. So that was my first job. Then I worked at New York Sports Club. I worked at Ready, Willing, and Able on the streets, getting all the trash in Lower Manhattan, taking all the trash in New York. You know what I'm saying? You work with another guy, he works on the other side of the block, you work on one side of the block, you go up and down the block, hit it at lunchtime, make it look pretty, leave by 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. You get there, hit it hard in the morning, 7 o'clock, hit it again for lunch, by 2 or 3 o'clock you're gone. So, and you wear all the blues, the hats, then I worked on the Hudson River doing the same thing. All the piers and all of that, making it look pretty. So, I just have to say that so people don't act like I'm just up here clammed up, like I ain't never lived here. You know what I mean? Like I don't know what New York is or looks like. I used to jog every day in Central Park. I'm not lying. To where I got credibility with the people like, yeah, as a exercise guy. One woman told me, she said, there is nobody like you here. That was in 2013, 10 years ago, a woman told me that. A black lady that see me jog around that lake, I would jog around there. My workout was 10 laps. Run one, walk one. Run one, walk one. I would run on the run laps around that Central Park lake down in Harlem. I would run all the way around that nonstop, the whole thing. And then I walk and run and walk and run and walk. That woman said, ain't nobody like me here. So I was enjoying life too. I wasn't just in the shelter system, hanging around, sitting in chairs. I was out here at Central Park working out among everyday New Yorkers. And then when I was in East 30th at the shelter down there, the men's shelter, I was running by the FDR. I was running down there. So that's solid credibility, man. My face ring bells. Not my name, my face ring bells. That's why I don't have no real problems, And like I said, I've lived in East New York. That's a tough neighborhood. Now I realize it. I realized that I was on New Lots Avenue. I was on New Lots Avenue and I was walking around. That's why I had my first girlfriend. She was taking me to the room and everything, paying for the room and everything. I met her at the library across the street in East New York from the graveyard. That library in front of the graveyard. And so that's my credibility. That's what these soft cupcake people need to know. You know what I'm saying? You ain't live in East New York. I did. You know what I'm saying? And so that explains why I am the way I am. Why I walk around the way I do. I can't speak for anybody else. You know what I'm saying? When you done lived in Harlem, East New York, Brooklyn, on Nostrand and over there in Fulton and Nostrand, over there on Atlantic Avenue, living in a shelter, you lived over there off of Fulton and Nostrand. You lived in Harlem. You lived in East New York too, on New Lots Avenue and Staten Island. I mean, come on. That's enough. That's enough for me, no matter what I say and do, for people to understand, okay, where it's coming from. That's all I'm saying.